Cape Town has had its fair share of land occupation evictions and court challenges against those evictions.
Now, the city's policies have been seen as anti-poor and anti-black. Now the Cape Town Metro is challenging a recent interdict by the Western Cape High Court, preventing it from carrying out evictions while the state of national disaster is still in place. Now, the city says the interdict will open the floodgates to uncontrolled land invasions and lead to a breakdown of law and order. City of Cape Town MMC for Human Settlements, Malusi Booi, joins us now via video link. He is in Cape Town. Malusi, good morning. Thanks very much for your time. I find this particularly interesting that the city arguing that this will open the floodgates on land invasions. Just in terms of evictions themselves, the court, in some ways saying that yes, perhaps they are necessary in the right context and with a court order, but the total lack of humanity we've seen in these evictions taking place in Cape Town. How do you account for that?
Good morning, Michelle, and good morning to your viewers. This is a very dangerous court order, as you have outlined, because it is indeed now opening up floodgates to everybody to go and invade land. And we have not been dealing with evictions, and I want to put this on the record. As the city of Cape Town, we have not evicted people during the lockdown period. What we have done is to deal with land invasions that we have seen coming up in a well-orchestrated manner. Now, there's a difference between an eviction and dealing with land invasion. Land invasion is when people do land grabs, and our law enforcement agencies, that's what they get to confront on a daily basis. There are selected incidents that have resulted in our law enforcement agencies not doing the right procedure, and we have taken steps in correcting that particular setup. But we have to deal with land invasion because what they do, they compromise us and also those who have been waiting for their housing opportunities for a very long time. Projects that are now intimidated by this kind of an exercise, over 1.3 billion rand. In Makassar, in Khayelitsha alone, we have lost land for housing opportunities that are almost 11,000, that is yielding housing opportunities, and also at an amount of 500 million rand. Now, how do we then say this is not dangerous to us as a city and also to the poor citizens that have been waiting for their housing opportunities?
Now, Malusi, for me as someone who has been covering the story like many other journalists have around the country, the language that you are using, Malusi, that this is dangerous, it smacks of the kind of attitude that the city of Cape Town has been accused of before, in the fact that many would see its behavior towards the poor as criminalizing the poor, and that is the exact language you're using even now.
Michelle, don't be selective in your approach. I'll tell you why. In Buffalo City Metro in East London, formal houses were demolished. You never read the story. In Johannesburg, formal brick and mortar houses were demolished. Did you read the story? No. Now, what I'm trying to get at, those are evictions, and they happened during lockdown. In the city of Cape Town, we have never demolished a single brick and mortar during lockdown. And also, what we have dealt with, we have not evicted, as I said. What we have done is to make sure that we put in law and order and making sure that land is not invaded, that is earmarked for housing opportunities and other amenities. Now, what must we do when people are invading a land that is supposed to build a hospital, where we're supposed to build a school? Must we allow that kind of an exercise to take place? Aren't we supposed to bring services to the poor people? Now, let us not mix anarchy and and the narrative that we are driving, that the city of Cape Town does not care. We are a caring city. For that reason, our budget, 75% of our budget is being spent on poor areas. Now, what must we do? Are we going to have to go and build these hospitals and towns and houses elsewhere where people are not residing? Because remember, what we do the most is to make sure that these housing opportunities are closer to economic opportunities, to transport nodes as well. So it is a planned exercise. That's why in Khayelitsha, some of the people that on the areas that we're working in, we're bringing our My City Pass because we're making sure that these houses are not just in an island. They are part of the community that we're trying to establish. So there's nothing dangerous. It is dangerous because people who have been waiting for their opportunities now are not going to get those opportunities because of people who are invading land. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
There's nothing being untoward about that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're saying you've never demolished a single brick and mortar structure, I don't really think that that qualifies as an excuse, given that the vast majority of our people who do live in informal structures, those structures are informal, but those are their homes.
How do you justify, Michelle, a scenario in Makaza in Kailicha, where a land where the contractor was supposed to start just after on level 2. Now we're supposed to build 420 houses. Now the people invaded that land. Those people who have been waiting for those houses now can't get their opportunity. How are we supposed to deal with that? You can advise me. Must we just allow people now to do willy-nilly and invade land and compromise those who are citizens, who are vulnerable, the old and disabled, who have been waiting for too long on the waiting list? Now they're unable to get their opportunity. How do you advise us to do that?
Well, I'll leave it to you. You're the housing MMC. But what I'm asking you is, in the way that we deal with these kinds of evictions, when indeed they are necessary, it needed the court to tell the city of Cape Town, please, will you protect at least the dignity of the people you are removing from these structures? And a case in point is, of course, Bulelani Kolani.
We have dealt with that particular issue, and we have immediately when the incident happened, as a city, we took steps in correcting that and also getting those officers that were brought to book. I mean, it's an isolated incident. It's not a normal. Hence, we had prioritized it and made sure that we deal with it. And we even sent a straight apology to Bulelani in the manner he was treated, because it is not the normal. But I must say, Michelle, that what we find now in other incidents, people, particularly ladies, they would, now when they see our law enforcement officers coming out, they walk out naked. It's becoming a norm. But what we have done, we've taken steps in dealing with that particular issue, and we have now quickly trained our officers on how they manage that particular process in a manner that is dignified.
All right, well,